Don't want to be comment corrected.
Corrections and retractions.
I mean, hey, we got it's October, guys. It's spooky season. It's not the nightcap; it's the fright cap. So let's get this started.
The only question is, if zombies really were fast, would us fat Americans even stand a chance?
Oh no, we're fucked. We are fucked.
I'm going with the negative. The only thing we have in our favor versus like Europe is like we're very spread out, so we could all just run in different directions.
Yeah.
What are the zombies going to do then?
No, we're fucked.
In different
We're
directions.
fucked. Fast zombies are fucked.
They're going to go after the slowest one, Rich. Wink, wink. All right, guys. Here we go.
That one, that guy always survives.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Not to the nightcap, to the fright cap, folks. It's October.
Special rebranding for October for the next 4 weeks.
We're doing a little horror series for Halloween. We're getting ready, and we're kicking it off right with 28 Days Later. How you guys doing? You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Enough.
Hope you guys are gonna be sleeping with the lights on for the rest of the month. So just know that that's okay, and that's all right.
It's okay.
That's
what October is for, man. It's for scary movies. Come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. What's everybody drinking tonight before we hop into 28 Days Later?
Well, I'm drinking Liquid Death. So, try to get into like the whole spooky aspect to it. So
sounds horrible.
All right.
Very refreshing though.
Yeah. Whiskey and coffee.
Whiskey and coffee. Oh, right. May the nightcap never end. All right. Going with a little Sculpin IPA action here. Ballast Point. Very popular. Tastes good. A lot of hops again.
Wow. Just chew on some hops next time.
Like a horse, just be sitting here just chewing.
Just chewing some hops.
Just chewing on it the whole time.
This is so good. Very hoppy. This must be a triple hop.
Let's not talk about hops, man. Let's not talk about IPAs because I hate that shit.
Yeah, but you're terrified of them, right? No.
Oh yeah, that's what gives me frights.
Hops. That one has 2 hops.
Too much flavor. What is that? Triple IPA? Oh my god.
Ooh, no way.
All right, guys. Everybody, let's focus. All right. This is the horror week. We got Fast Zombies, 28 Days Later. Before I get into the whole like breakdown here, this movie's fairly old now. I mean, it doesn't seem that old, but 2002. So I don't remember if I saw this one in the theater. I'm trying to remember when I first seen it. But it definitely left a big impression on me. This actually was my pick for the Halloween horror series that we're doing here. So I'm going to go pretty hard on it. I'm just warning everybody right off the bat. But what was your guys' initial encounters with this movie? Did you guys see it in the theater, or what were your thoughts on it back in 2002?
I want to say I did see it in the theater because I love horror. I love, especially back then, like even to now, I was a big zombie fan. So I definitely wanted to see this right away. And like watching it again now, it still has the same impressions on me than when I first originally watched it. It's still a great movie. It's still, we'll get into it, but it definitely revolutionized the zombie genre. We'll get into that later. So, but yeah, I still liked it, and it still held up 18 years later.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. How about you, Rich?
No clue. No idea. Too far back for me to even.
It is a little ways back. It is a ways back.
I've seen it many times afterwards because I like this movie. So I've seen it many times afterwards. I can't tell you where I saw it though. I mean, I can't even tell you what I was doing in 2002.
It's been a while. All right. Let me read the little synopsis here, and then we'll get into our review. Let me see. All right, 28 Days Later is a 2002 British post-apocalyptic horror film directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland, and starring a pretty star-studded cast. Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, Christopher Eccleston, Megan Burns, and Brendan Gleeson. The plot depicts the breakdown of society following an accidental release of a highly contagious virus and focuses upon the struggle of the 4 survivors as they cope with the destruction of life they once knew while evading those infected by the virus. Like we said, the movie came out in 2002, had a budget of $8 million and a box office of $82 million.
Nice.
So it was highly successful and pretty critically acclaimed. Like you said, it kind of sparked new, or I guess, regeneration of the zombie flicks, and then kind of led to inspired a lot of their stuff. I'm assuming like The Walking Dead and and everything else that followed during that time, that big push in the 2000s. Overall, the scope itself, the overall plot itself, I mean, it's interesting too because Danny Boyle is not a horror guy, right? And he takes on this story, which is kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily reinventing the zombie, trope, but it's definitely pumping new life into it. He's taking it from a different approach. And so that alone, I think, is kind of admirable, right? Because it easily could have failed and been a big flop and no one would ever remember it. So overall, for the scope, I ended up giving it a 7. Now, obviously, going into it, you have to suspend some disbelief, like the whole thing about the zombies and they bite you and instantly you reach out into rage and like within seconds. I mean, I don't know the science behind that, but obviously you go into it just kind of like, all right, I'm along for the ride. And that opening sequence, in the lab with it doesn't say their name, but I'm assuming they're PETA.
They're PETA.
They're the real villains, to be honest, in this movie.
Exactly.
Because they're the one who unleashed this thing on the world.
They fucked the world, man.
Yeah.
All to save some monkeys.
That's what Rich said. I wanted to say it, but I'll let Rich say it.
If they would have just listened to science, the scientist was telling him, he's like, "Don't do it. They're infected.
Don't do it." Like they're like,
science deniers.
No, screw you. We're gonna go free the
blood.
monkeys.
It's in the blood.
It's in the blood. Don't do it. Right. And then I'm just gonna unlock this. I'm gonna unlock this chimpanzee right now. See what happens. Boom.
It's just running around angry. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Maybe he reinvented more than just zombies. Maybe he reinvented the Planet of the Apes as well.
Yeah.
No, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
A spin-off. But overall, for plot and story, Al, what did you end up giving it?
I mean, the plot, I gave it a 6 just because it is kind of simplistic in a way, almost like it's definitely not cookie cutter, but it doesn't really have a lot of meat on there. And I just want to know what they were trying to do to induce rage in these monkeys. I don't know were they trying to induce it and then they were going to find a cure for it? So maybe they'll find a cure for rage in human beings. I don't know what the purpose of this whole rage thing was.
It's science, bro. You're not smart enough.
Right? I'm not. I'm no scientist.
Don't try to figure it out.
I am no scientist, guys. But
definitely not.
Definitely not. But right now,
it got a lot of rage.
I definitely do have a lot of rage. If all it took was for these monkeys was to watch, literally, they were just watching the news. Well, guess what? Then I'm a rage monkey right now. So, all right, because I do not like what's going on in the news, so I'm going to be a rage monkey pretty soon.
Maybe they were making them
not let me out.
Don't bite anybody. Don't bite anybody.
Maybe they were just making them play lots.
Let me see your eyes, man. Let me see your eyes. What's going on here?
What about you, Rich? What'd you give it for the overall story?
I actually gave it 8 hops. It was not bad.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
Jesus.
I liked it. It was for what it was at the time. It was original. I liked the idea. It came out of a coma. World's fucked. And then kind of just following them along for the adventure. I kind of like those type of movies where you just kind of see it develop in a post-apocalyptic world and what it is. So I scored a little higher for.
Wouldn't necessarily call it an adventure. He's not Frodo, but it's definitely survival.
He wasn't after a ring, but gotta go somewhere.
Okay.
It was a journey. Right, every journey is an adventure. Justin Bieber said that.
Rich is waxing philosophical right now. So all right.
All right. Well, let's segue into the production. So I mean, talking about that opening sequence too, like you're talking about, where he wakes up, right, and there's just totally desolate London, and then I really like too just the way the cinematography is done. It's very gritty, right? It's got this kind of grainy style to it, which kind of also adheres to the whole horror genre too, right? It kind of plays into that, and so that was really cool. And then the soundtrack, right? You have the post-rock band Godspeed Black Emperor, which is a pretty popular band.
Oh, actually, I like them.
They're they have that weird, just kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, really just creepy music as he's wandering across the bridge there into the town, and it's just like you said, Al, it's very iconic.
Yeah, like that whole opening sequence with him, hello, and then like the desolate London, like you were saying, and it really hits you hard because I've been to London several times, and that by the London eye, it's like nuts to butts. It's bustling with people, and then to see it just empty like that, it really hits you hard. And it's very visceral too. Like the whole production on this is very visceral. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be eye candy. It's supposed to be like, holy crap, this is bleak. And for what it was, and I definitely gave it doesn't seem fair that I gave it a 14 out of 20, but it is just because of like it fits the production of it. It's not supposed to be like stylized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
They kept it really simple, which was good.
yeah, but it was definitely very visceral.
Yeah.
Like the whole, just him walking into that church, and then like the body stacked up, and then that's when you kind of first kind of see the rage people after the whole opening sequence. And it was just kind of creepy where the guy just kind of like pops up like this.
Yeah.
And then there was
Just
that one
scared.
guy that was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh shit, like Jesus, like what the fuck's gonna happen right now?
And the priest, right? The priest comes out.
Yeah, just ooh.
Yeah.
Weird.
There's
And
so
he was
many
like-
great shots. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the production was definitely great. How about you, Rich?
Yeah. What'd you give it, Rich?
Production solid. I gave it 17. But to bring it back to the opening sequence, what kind of hospital do you not sleep in clothes? Like, is that what they do in London? Like, this guy just had brain surgery. Let's just put him there naked. Just to bring that up, that was a very interesting scene. Like,
Yeah.
why is
Maybe they were changing him when like some rage people came.
Hey, sorry about that. Had a little bit of technical difficulties.
Steve's computer rage quit on him. So
exactly, my computer went all rage monkey and just shut down.
got a little something in the eye.
I should have just shouldn't have let it out. I shouldn't have let it out. But
you should have destroyed it within 10 seconds, because otherwise it would have killed you and your whole family.
Yeah, you can't let it fucking live.
Yeah, that's what I get for being humane. But where were we at? We were talking production with Rich.
Production. I gave it a 17, and I think we're just gonna end production on that note.
Well, I'm not ready.
It's a good way to go.
Let me just touch on a few things before we move on to production wise. To kind of contrast Al talking about the bleakness, I do think there was a lot of that. I mean, but I think some of the beauty of the movie too was there was also some really nice scenes too, right? So when they're leaving town and they're going down, they're playing like Ave Maria, and you see the giant windmills, right? And then when they get to a little farmhouse and you see the horses, it's like a nice break from all the just kind of dreariness of the city town. And for a moment there, you kind of get instilled with hope, right? You're like, oh crap, they're going to go find, the base, the station, and maybe things are going to work out. Now, obviously, from there, we know it takes a giant U-turn and it goes terribly wrong. But for a moment there, you kind of like it's a nice break, like I said, from everything else that's going on. So
it gives them a little fine. Yeah, it gives them a little family dynamic. Like a road trip always brings like a family dynamic to like the movie. Like always. Yeah. So
and
then
it
lets you bond just before the disappointment.
Exactly.
It sets you up.
You can connect a little bit right before things just kind of go sideways.
Yeah.
And then also too, I'll say even that ending, the last act where they're in the mansion, it's got a very noir feel to it. They're walking through, it's raining, there's giant shadows, the girls are wearing like these giant gowns and they're being chased through this mansion by zombies. I mean, it's a very cool sequence. So I think that's the cool thing about this movie. There's really a wide range here. And maybe that speaks more to Boyle, like handling this movie, because he's not necessarily a horror guy. So he didn't feel like trapped in that box. He kind of goes in and out of it. You know what I mean? But still manages to keep the horror vibe to it too, and keep it a very gritty feel. So just to kind of put a little cap on the end of the cinematography stuff, let's get into the performances. I want you to go ahead and take it off.
Oh yeah, the acting was great. Like you kind of mentioned in the beginning, these had some powerhouse actors, but we just didn't know it at the time. But after this, obviously Cecilia Murphy blew up, Naomi Harris blew up, and Gleason, he's always been like a steady hand throughout like all kinds of pictures, like Gangs in New York, so on and so forth. I think I gave it a 22 just because it was great. Yeah, nothing really stood out to me in terms of like bad performances, and but nothing stood out as like really great performances. Like I just like the whole when they were running up the stairs in the beginning, don't leave me. I don't know why I just like got a kick out of that one. I was like, it sounded so pathetic. Like I don't know if he was trying to sound pathetic like that or
he
what.
He was pathetic. I mean, you saw him. He's so skinny in the beginning. He's drinking Coke. You know what I mean, right? He's like crashing on the stairs. Or Pepsi. And Selena's such a hard ass. God, she just kills her friends like at the drop of a dime.
Like she killed Mark like that. And I don't know if they were together, but right when he was like, "Don't do it," just fucking start going to town. Like, holy shit.
And then the look on his face when she points the machete at him, she's like, "Did you get any in you?" And he's just like,
he's like,
nope.
He's like,
I'm good.
How did you know? And she's like, I knew because I saw the face that he knew. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Jeez. Whew, no eye contact with her, I'll tell you that. Rich, what did you think? Anything that stood out to you in terms of performances or any favorite?
No, I gave
scenes?
it. I give it a 22 like Al. Nothing really stood out. There was no one's getting a trophy for this. There wasn't any breakout performances. I mean, maybe the not zombie people with their weird stuff going on. That was kind of cool.
I think Rich is getting affected right now.
That was his computer. I got the cure.
Okay. Ugh. All right. Okay. I don't know what that means, but
moving on.
I'll disagree with you guys on this, and this is probably maybe what's going to separate really my score on this one is just that I thought the performances were pretty good, and just the way the story is told too, like you said Al earlier about. So first off, you start off in desolation, right? And you have, I can't say his name, Cillian Murphy.
Sicilian? You really have trouble with names.
It's not Sicilian.
Cillian Murphy.
It's Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy. Walking through London.
Hold the mayo, please.
Walking through London, by himself, right? And then all of a sudden he meets Hannah and her dad Frank's character, and I like even when you first meet them too, right? Because Frank, he's got all this body armor on, this giant shield and everything, a ski mask, and then he's jacking up all these zombies, and then he walks into the room, takes it all off, and instantly he's a dad, right? And it's just like, oh hey, you guys want anything to drink? It's just so perfect. He's like, this is great, Hannah, come in here, say hi, and it just all of a sudden he's kind of like the heart of the film, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So then he takes over, right? And even that part in the scene where they're sleeping in the living room or whatever, and he even calls him dad, right? When he's like, "You having a bad dream?" He's like, "Oh, thanks, dad," right? Because he's like half asleep. So he becomes the heart of the character. So then when he actually passes and gets infected, it's that much more jarring because you're like, holy cow, and he gets shot by the soldiers. We didn't even know they're there.
You just got there, not you, Frank.
Yeah. Exactly.
Damn crow. That crow's fault.
Oh man. And then also too, Selena's, character along with man, I'm blanking again. What's the main character's name? Jim. Even like they have a nice arc too, right? Because at first we're just talking about Selena's such a hard ass, she's saying pretty much I'll kill you, if I even suspect you're infected. And then she slowly starts to soften up, right? And they kind of start like a little romance thing, and towards the end, it's got a nice like natural arc. It doesn't feel like forced in the very beginning. You don't know that they're going to fall for each other. Yeah. And so I don't know, it kind of sucked me in. And then lastly too, the soldiers. Even if you were to call them villains, they're pretty rational in what they're doing. You know what I mean? To them, they think it is the end of the world. So they're like, well, crap, we're gonna have to start over. You know what I mean? And so they're kind of taking this pragmatic approach, to the way they're viewing things. Like, all right, we got some women, we're gonna start a farm. Like, this is what we're gonna do.
Repopulating Earth.
Yeah, even then, you understand where they're coming from. You understand their motivation. Right. So I do think the performances were pretty good. Let me see. I'm over score. I think I ended up giving them a 27.
Oh wow!
I actually ended up liking it. But really, the highlight for me in this is the story itself, the storytelling itself by Danny Boyle. Let's get into the directing. What do you guys think in terms of the storytelling aspect?
I liked it. I gave it a 23 out of 30. The only gripe I did have, if you want to call it a gripe, is I think that horror movies, even the one that was kind of blended like this, not kind of like blending genres, a horror movie I don't believe should ever be 2 hours. I really don't. It should be all killer, no filler, pun intended. So I was thinking maybe shave off 15 minutes of this movie would have been like kind of money, but that's pretty much my only gripe with it. Like you said, otherwise it was so well done. It still holds up to today. Really, really great.
Rich, what do you got?
Well, I'm gonna say kind of agree with Al. I mean, the directing, I thought it was solid. I think Al copied my scores because I gave it a 23 as well. But you could have cut off a lot of the movie. I mean,
He called you out for cheating on his homework.
I was like, I didn't cheat on you. I didn't cheat on your homework.
But no, I'm just saying, got the same score. It just kind of dragged for me. I don't know if it's because one of those movies that I've seen so many times in the past that this time around, just watching again, I'm not gonna lie, it dragged. There was some parts where I was like, I'm gonna go microwave a pizza. I'll be right back. And like I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I felt like I was.
Hey, Hot Pockets, huh?
Yeah, hey, pizza rolls. Like,
I ordered Domino's that day, by the way. Very on point. But yeah,
Okay.
for me, looking back on it now to score it now, it just dragged a little bit more. Felt like a long episode of The Walking Dead. And yes, I know The Walking Dead came out after and this before, but
please feel free to correct Rich in the comments.
I know.
Please.
But to me, I don't know if it's because I'm spoiled by it. And I watched a lot of Walking Dead, and it just felt like a long episode to me now.
Yeah, because The Walking Dead bit off this movie. Like even some of the shots from this movie was shot by shot the comic book and like the TV series. So come on now, let's not like let's not get into that right now.
Everybody has an opinion. You don't gotta like mine. I just gave it,
and I never do.
All right. Well, on this one here, I mean, I've kind of, for all the reasons I've already kind of gushed about this movie, I don't want to get, redundant, but yeah, everything I liked. I like the performances, I like the style, the way they did it. Like I said, maybe it's because, to get to your point, Al, about the horror movies being less than 2 hours, like I said, maybe because it's Danny Boyle and it's not really his genre, right? It's more like a fusion. I think that's a good way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
He went a little bit longer on it. Honestly, my only gripe in the way he told the story is just the ending, that little sequence after they escape the mansion, right? Where they resuscitate Jim back, and then all of a sudden he wakes up in that bed. I kind of wish they would have shown a little bit more of that, just to kind of give a more fuller resolution, but it's a minor gripe. Overall, my highest score I've given so far in any of our movies for a director, 29. Really like the story.
Just give him a 30 out of 30.
Well, just because the ending, that was the only thing that kind of holds me back. So I actually thought he did a really excellent job. There's so much in this movie that I like. I like the horror aspect of it. I like like I said, we talked about the family part where they kind of builds that family dynamic, gets you connected. My biggest gripe with most movies is I feel like I don't connect with the characters. I don't care if they die. In this movie, I actually was rooting for them towards the end. I'm like, dude, get out of this mansion. Like, you have to become sex slaves. All right. To this crazy
situation. You gotta
let's get out of here, right?
Here's the thing, like, I don't know, like, I don't know how many days passed, but like I said, like in the very beginning, he was like, don't leave me. But in the very end, he was like the Rain being like a badass, like, like killing all these soldiers, trained soldiers. Yeah, that's another gripe, but I don't want to like get on that.
Well, they didn't look like they were great. They didn't look like they were special forces, right?
No, they were not special forces.
That one guy's hiding under the bed, okay?
And then the other guy, I'm pretty sure before like the women came, like the cook.
Oh, don't say it.
Man,
all right,
you know what?
Say
were they even soldiers, or did they just steal the uniforms and gear?
No, bro, they were soldiers.
I'm guessing they were like the National Guard of whatever London has. You know what I mean? Yeah, these guys wasn't.
And also to get into your point, Steve, about like them really cutting the very ending short, it kind of comes full circle because like in the very beginning, he just wakes up in a hospital that doesn't give him any clothes, Rich.
Yeah.
So weird.
And so it kind of closed full circle. And in the very end, he wakes up again.
You think when they were escaping that room, that nurse is like, "You want to be something funny? Like, there you go, just like takes it out of him."
I'm like, what?
Maybe he'll feel bad for him and won't eat him. He's naked.
Yeah. He's like, wait until the rage people see this.
Yeah. They're like, oh, look the other way. Next room.
But anyway, before we went on this tangent of why like this hospital doesn't have clothes, I think that's the reason why, because it came full circle. Like, he wakes up in the beginning, then he wakes up in the very end also. So
it's a good time.
Good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. So lastly, let's go ahead and hop into X Factors. Let's start in reverse order this time. Rich, what did you give it in terms of X Factor?
I give it an 8. Pretty high up there. I thought it was cool. It really changed the.
You want to finish?
Are you eating that microwave pizza right now? What are you doing?
I am hungry. I'm eating ice.
What is that? DiGiorno? What do you got there?
I'm eating hops, full flavor.
Just hops by the handful. Just
like a horse.
Who needs to drink it? Real men eat it.
There you go.
But it changed. I mean, it changed zombies, even though it's not a zombie movie. It set the tone. Look, Walking Dead bit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Turned it into a multi-million-dollar series.
Yeah.
So yeah, the X Factor for me, 10 out of 10, just because, like I said before, in the very beginning, this revolutionized the zombie genre. Even though, as a caveat, as you said, not technically not zombies. They're rage like induced, people, because they're not undead, so they're not technically zombies. But
they're not
but in the
technically eating
sense,
them, they're just
everyone
doing the
considers
combat.
this a zombie movie. So
Yeah.
it revolutionized it. I could almost say every zombie movie after this movie takes aspects from this movie, and that's how big of an impact it had on the zombie genre. And also it brought to the forefront fast zombies. Technically, there was like a couple movies before this that showed like fast-ish zombies, but this is the first one that they're just fucking tearing ass to get at you. So this is the one that brought that, and then like pretty much like all the zombie movies after this, besides when it got right before they went back to being slow, is Shaun of the Dead, another UK zombie movie.
Shaun of the Dead. Oh.
Yeah, but this was like, yeah, man, this was the first one where they made them really scary because they're tearing ass. Like, they're not slowing down, nothing's stopping them. So yeah, 10 out of 10 just because of what it did for the whole genre.
Yeah. All right. Nice. I gave it a 9. I ended up giving it a 9. So this is my highest X factor. This is one of those movies that just aged well for me. If it comes on, I'll watch it. There's not too much that I have really against it. I like the performances. It's kind of this, it's like I said, it's just a cool fusion. I don't know that it's, like you said, necessarily outright a horror flick in the traditional sense. But maybe that's why I connect with it so much, because I'm not deep in that world as you are. But yeah, overall, I liked it. Like the performances. I really like the storytelling. I don't know that there's any other. I think this might be my favorite movie from Danny Boyle. He's a pretty accomplished director in his own right too. So yeah, I think it's a good movie to kick off our horror fest here that we're going to be doing for the Fright Cap. October 2020 Fright Cap. So yeah, other than that, if anybody else has any closing comments before we call it.
No, let's call it, because Rich has to microwave his pizza.
That microwave pizza's getting cold.
I'm a little hungry. I mean, I got to go pick some more hops too.
Okay. All right.
To Sicilian Murphy, wherever you are.
Sicilian Murphy. All right. Have a good night, guys. Hey.